just to enable some easier follow-up for Boom.
Sure. We do have GeekFam now thinking about their fifth ban. They've been thinking for quite a while about this one. It's kind of a question of, do you want to ban out the Spectre this time? Maybe they felt like that was a very, very dangerous game to have a Spectre up against you. I mean, no, they banned the Rubik, which might be an Earthshaker pick. No, they go for the
Oh,
Enigma. Fair enough. The question will
yeah.
be whether that's a POS 4 or whether they're going to run that as the POS 3 and run the mid Beastmaster again.
Yeah, it's really open for GeekFam in that sense. The response from Boom is strong, though. The Winter Wyvern's there to take care of the Black Hole, if ever. But GeekFam going really fast through the draft, pick up the Weaver for themselves. So we've seen that Weaver do a lot of work that is more than likely just going to be Raven's hero, and I think there's a lot of potency now from the draft of GeekFam. It comes online fairly quick, it's excellent in team fights, and it pushes hard. So it ticks all of the boxes you're looking for. Boom. They've got some great counterfight, they've got better team fight now. They need to find a way to stop that great push from
Whew,
constantly happening, and
that's
that's
one way to
one
do
way.
it.
Yeah, the
Uh,
Medusa comes out, clears out those creeps fast. It also farms really well, so you've got some great scaling as well from Boom.
Definitely do, and that might actually force this Weaver to go down the diffusal blade route as well, right? Because generally speaking, the last couple times we've seen that Weaver, he tends to just go for the Deso, which is generally your preferred way to build. It just escalates things so quick for the draft of GeekFam, but this time it might have to be the diffusal coming out up against the Deucer.
Mm.
And I wonder how they finish this off now, because the draft is still so flexible from GeekFam. It's much more. It still is flexible in Boom Esports, but it's much more stable in the sense that you know where these lanes are happening. Like I imagine they are going to throw the Medusa mid.
Mm.
Regardless of who goes up against the Medusa, she's going to be perfectly fine. Just based off the picks that GeekFam have already made. But are you going to run a support Ember again, or are you going to run a safe lane Ember this time? It's those kind of questions I'm wondering.
Yeah, it's still fairly open. It does feel like that might just be. I want to say that should be a safe lane Ember. It's just that again with the Bat Rider, it's just so confusing. We'll see what Boom does close out with. I think they're gonna want to have one of these two as cores for sure. You don't want to last pick a support. It's not much value in it up against what GeekFam has. You've got solid options already, so we'll see what they do opt for. GeekFam does have last pick as well, so it's much easier for them to close out their draft. They already know what GeekFam would have at that, what Boom would have at that point, so they can easily just seal up their draft, cover any holes that they're missing, and really just look to go for the kill in terms of hero picks.
Oh, Boom! They're gonna again think about this final ban out now. We saw the Centaur being banned on the side of GeekFam. Still looking arguably for a mid hero for the side of GeekFam. Could be another support. Could be the offlane Enigma and the mid Beastmaster again. I just don't think they're gonna run that a second time. Not up against the Medusa. It's much harder for the Beastmaster to deal with the Medusa than it was last game around up against the Void Spirit. And they'll ban the LC, so it seems as though Boom Esports are still thinking that perhaps they'd run a mid LC, perhaps they'd run the offlane LC, and boom, they finish off with that Pangolier.
Yeah, that really opens up this draft. I think we're going to be seeing an FBZ Pango. He does play it quite a fair bit. I think it will be hide on the Bat Rider in that case. That does tend to be how Boom runs it when these two heroes are up. We'll see whether or not that is the case. But this does give them great ways of fighting. All four heroes can buy space for the Medusa. They've got great team fight coming out, great single target control with a Bat Rider. So you've got a solid way of making off this line up. For GeekFam, they do know what's out there. They have last pick. They can close out their draft with something to kind of punish this. I wouldn't be too upset if they actually did go for something like, say, an OD for the Medusa. Although that can be tricky to run in this case, but it can do a lot of work up against this lineup if they opt for it.
We'll find out. GeekFam, they only have 10 seconds left for this. What's it going to be? Okay, they go down the Dazzle route. We've seen this hero popping up quite often, and I believe that will be a core Dazzle, though only time will tell. It still could be... No, it is going to be the core Dazzle by Cuckoo. Interesting. Zephyr on the pos for Enigma, and apparently Carl is indeed going back into that mid Beastmaster.
Yeah, I think this is a solid lineup from GeekFam. You have to remember that the minus armor from the Dazzle works really well with Weaver. You've got a great aura in the Beastmaster to continue to force that push out, and you know it's a very fast lineup to come online after you go through the laning phase. That's the roughest time for GeekFam. Boom. They've got much more stable curves in terms of power. The distribution should be a bit easier to work out. And you still have a greedy support. It does look like we are looking at the Hide Ember Spirit making an appearance here. So you do have the poor bat down mid. I think that's how they're going to be running it. That's not going to be too great for the Beastmaster. You have ways of clearing out that wave, and Dreamocell will be on that Medusa.
We'll go into it very, very soon. Game number 2. Boom Esports, their only option here is to get a draw going, and GeekFam, of course, still have the opportunity to try and 2-0 the side of Boom Esports. It's sure to be a rather electrifying game going into this. We'll have to keep a close eye out on Raven, see what kind of item build he does go for on that Weaver. And even Carl, really, how's he going to lane it up against this Medusa? I'm just shocked that they actually put the Beastmaster mid in this kind of situation. Unless they are going to let the Medusa go safe lane instead, Mikoto is on the Batrider, so perhaps that is the objective here. I'm sure we'll be seeing some lane switches going on.
Yeah, it is going to be rather rough for Boom either way. I think the early aggression from GeekFam is going to make it really hard to find a space for the Medusa, so you've got to be on point with maintaining map control, and that's going to be the name of the game. It does look like Mikado is going to head down mid, so earlier prediction was right. They are just going to toss that bat up against the Beastmaster, and probably not the best of times for Carl. Mikado can just napalm spam and firefly down the wave, and he can dip into the jungle, so not going to be a shutout lane for Carl, but he should still be able to find his own farm as well.
It seems like Boom Esports really want to try and protect Dreamocell on that Medusa, just throwing him down to the safe lane, making sure he's going to be able to secure that farm. Boom, again with that support Ember. May start off with another tri-lane here, but this time around up against the actual safe lane of the side of GeekFam. Maybe just focusing down Raven rather than Cuckoo this time around. I guess you have to still be careful of the Dazzle, but it's not quite as necessary to shut the Dazzle down quickly, more so than it is for the Necrophos last game.
Yeah, I think early farm Dazzle is somewhat scarier though. Like you do have lower cooldowns on your sustain, and if you do allow it to hit 18, then you're never going to be stopping that constant sustain.
Oh, Raven tries to go for a sneaky bounty rune swipe. He's going to get punished for this. FBZ dishing out quite a lot of damage there with Hyde. Raven won't have Sakuchi again for another second. He will eventually get out, but that is going to be a lot of regen he has to burn through to get back his HP. And gives him the orchestra hit.
That's not right.
Yeah, just probably gonna have to burn through a fair bit, as you mentioned. Zephyr on the Enigma up top with Weaver. That's not the strongest laning duo. I think Zephyr is going to focus more on denying the wave out. He does get a couple of good denies already, and just try to find some farm in the jungle.
That's pretty standard stuff for this pause for Enigma. Just going to deny creeps over and over again and just find his own farm. Hyde, of course, can just follow him down most of the way on the Ember, though. That's the thing, right? Like, Hyde's just going to continuously follow Zephyr and just try and soak the XP away from this Enigma, and that's generally how you beat them out. Of course, he can always just come back and try to make sure Raven doesn't have a good time. But that is a Weaver. You know, the likelihood is you're not going to be able to lock him down long enough to actually take him out. Although I say that, he does Sakuchi through and get caught out by FBZ, and now Raven may actually be dead. There is a Sleight of Fist available, and Hyde does get the first blood on the Ember.
Yeah, it's a nice little start for Boom. This is probably the better target to shut down. It's just that every single time you let Raven have a free run, the investment pays off and his farm gets out too big. So the constant pressure up top is probably going to pay off a bit better.
Well, bot lane, however, Dreamer saw it's a lot of damage being dealt early on, and he does go down. The combination of Poison Touch and the Maledict, I kind of didn't even consider that, but that is a lot of tick damage that gets dealt over the Medusa over quite a bit of time, but you even saw just then, he just blew up.
Yeah, it's not very safe for Dreamosel, and that is one of the weak points of the Medusa, right? Level 1 to 2, probably even level 3, just a bit lackluster in how much sustain you can get. So it's going to be a while for Dreamosel to feel pretty safe in this lane.
Now Makoto gonna burn down Carl. This is kind of what I was worried about for Carl in that mid lane. He's gonna have a tough time. Every time he gets a few sticky napalm stacks off, he's just gonna firefly over that Beastmaster. We saw this yesterday in a different game altogether. There's not really much these melee cores can do about that. Like, you can buy the wand, and that's great, but ultimately, once the firefly is on top of you, you are probably gonna die.
Yeah, again, it's just going to be a runaway lane for Mikado. I think Carl has to be really careful about how much he bleeds out, not only with his own deaths, but say his creep summons as well. Every single pick off for Mikado is just going to accelerate that Bat Rider.
Cuckoo, bit of a sneaky act here on the Dazzle. Poison Touch out on Dreamercell. Whiteman's trying to break the gap here to be able to get that Paralyzing Cask off, and now the Maledict, and they will actually get through all the mana of Dreamercell. This is some really clever stuff out from GeekFam, but now the tips come back Whiteman's way. He probably will die here on the Witch Doctor, or maybe not. He's still running, but no, they will have plenty of damage output. Kescue with the Splinter Blast will be enough. Cuckoo does still survive on the core Dazzle. You see Tremosaur, he literally has 0 mana left.
Yeah, it's a hard time for Dreamosel to sustain that lane. I think they're going to have to invest in a lot of early stacks for the Medusa to clear out, because this lane, he is not farming. I mean, even if they're finding these kills, it's coming at the cost of Dreamosel's last hits.
Raven doing a lot of damage over to FBZ. Swashbuckle out from FBZ. Raven trying to go for this kill. It's very, very close, but he does inch out in the end. That's one thing you can do with the Weaver. You can be very, very aggressive, especially if the offlane has been left alone like that. And there is a lot of focus right now from Boom Esports to just try and protect up Dreamercell on that Medusa. So that leaving that Pango alone, he is going to suffer like this.
Yeah, it's not going to be easy for FBZ to apply that continuous pressure. He needs a lane partner. And the fact that this is not being punished up top means that Zephyr as well on the Enigma just gets free reign over 2 jungle camps, 2 jungle areas.
That is true. That's exactly what he's doing. He's just free farming the triangle of the Radiant side. They do scan him out, so we should see a rotation now from Hyde. He's kind of ignored Zephyr for a long time, but will finally make his way back in, and we are going to have a bit of a pause now from Cuckoo.
Ah,
Classic
of
1k
course.
ping.
Standard. Very
Yep.
standard for Southeast Asia.
Dire are scanning.
High's just going to chase Zeph around of his jungle. And, well, Makoto might actually be able to pick up a kill here. And should be able to. In fact, he goes back for the rune. Does get an arcane rune, though.
Oh.
Now, Raw comes out from Carl.
Oh,
And that's not what you want. So, Zephyr more than happy to die if it's going to mean Carl finds a return kill on that Bat Rider.
yeah, not the way you trade there for the side of Boom. And in the end, GeekFam is still finding what they want. They're getting a lot of early aggression out. They've given themselves a lot of space, and they're behind by 1 kill, but they have really put a dent in Dreamocel's farm. It doesn't even compare to how well Raven is doing up top.
That it doesn't. 43 last hits, 44. Just farming like a madman. Hasn't really decided yet whether he is going to go into that Diffusal or Deso build. Just trying to wait it out, get those treads up first and make the decision. Dreamer Soul still trying to catch up on the Medusa. Of course, he probably will have a lot of stacks to go back to later on, assuming that GeekFam have not taken them, although Whiteman gets blown up now. Dreamer Soul picking up a nice kill on that Medusa. And this is all he wants. He just wants to keep hitting creeps. Doesn't want to be disrupted on that Medusa, and he'll have a bit of peace now.
Yeah, they've got to maintain the presence of these two supports, though. So Kez, Cute, and Hyder are spending a lot more time bot. And this is the only real way for Dreamocell to even have presence here. So it is going to come at the cost of top. They're going to have to find a way to deal with Raven later on, because he's free farmed as well.
Raven will start rotating around now. He'll farm up the triangle for the Radiant side. Makoto does have that level 8 now with an arcane rune, still with the lasso. Would love to try and get a quick kill for himself. Gets another regen rune now, and Raven going to show himself mid lane. Be a great opportunity here for that lasso to come out. Chains does land. Sakuchi was already there, and Makoto, he can't break the gap. So, rotations in from Boom, not really paying off. Now the Firefly will show Makoto. And Raven will happily just stand by his tier 1 tower and just keep securing that farm. Absolutely no reason to move away from that tower.
Yeah, I'm surprised they've left an entire lane free. There are creeps up top, and FBZ will finally farm it out, but that's a lot of downtime where just one part of the map was completely ignored.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
Bottom lane, big group up here from GeekFam. Kezcute gonna hide in that sneaky little tree spot. But Cuckoo seems to be aware something is wrong. Gonna run his way in. I believe he did just scout him out, but the Arctic Burn will allow him to fly into the corner of that tree line and just TP away. It's not gonna save this tier 1 bot tower. Carl with the rotation will secure it with his team. And Cuckoo's gonna have that Necro 1 book soon as well. And that does mean you're gonna have at least 2 Necro books. No, make it 3. So GeekFam going for the classic library strat. Having 3 books up. I love the strat, John. It's very hard to keep up with, because you just keep throwing those units onto the towers, and it's hard to clear them out as well, because the person clearing them out can kill themselves on those red units.
Yeah, it's a lot of potency coming out from GeekFam, and that should help them accelerate and widen their lead. The one thing with Boom as well, it's like they can't even trade well. You had 3 heroes up top trying to push that top tier 1. They don't do it fast enough.
Never refuse gold given.
Now the bot lane will start being pushed in as well. Cuckoo feeling no necessity to back out here. Makoto, however, will TP in with some friends, but Carl is ready with the Roar. They'll see the extra TPs. The swashbuckle forward. Cuckoo should definitely just be dead. He doesn't go for the shallow grave. Does stick charge up, but it's all too late for that grave to come out. And even if he did, they were backing off anyway, but now GeekFam bringing Raven in. But no, Raven will get back to farming. He has queued up that Desolator, so he's not bothering with the Diffusal Blade. And, you know, if you are going 3 Necro books, it's not like you're going to need the Diffusal anyway, because you're planning to finish the game a lot faster than a Medusa can be online anyway.
Yeah, I don't really blame Raven for going that route. It's just a lot more utility as well for the push, right? You're going to be dropping the armor of the towers. That's going to benefit all of the summons as well. So the objective melting does speed up on top of that.
Mid lane, slowly being sieged here by Cuckoo. He's just going to send some units in, but right now at that level 1 mark, you don't want to just give them away. Dreamer Cell, of course, would love the free gold for himself. Top lane, bit of a play here onto FBZ, but he'll easily just be able to roll out of there. And they're actually turning around. Lasso is going to be out on Zephyr. He does have the black hole if he wants to try and commit, but he won't. He'll just walk out of there while Raven will go in by himself. Dust will be popped by FBZ, and that'll force the time lapse out from the Weaver. And ultimately, both sides will get away with their lives intact, just barely. Zephyr, I believe he was on about 100 HP while he was walking out.
Yeah, and all of these small skirmishes does mean that certain parts of the map are opened up. Dreamo Cell down mid has not been pressured, so the Medusa now does have that Mask of Madness. This does speed up the farm, and if GeekFam just allows this to happen, then Dreamo Cell might just end up being a bit too farmed up to deal with.
Well, chains up on Carl. Carl's thinking about throwing out the Roar, but his units are doing so much work anyway. Hyde is completely out of mana, but luckily does get himself out. And again, while you're focusing on that bot lane, there is a bit of an issue here in mid as Cuckoo is still just trying to force in that tier 1 tower. They're really making Boom Esports just follow the side of GeekFam across the map. On the brighter side, though, that is buying Dreamer Soul a lot of space here on the Medusa. He's just up to that Mask of Madness now on the Medusa and can just keep freely farming into the Manta. But GeekFam, they want to just continue being aggressive and try to get this Radiant jungle away from that Medusa. So now, the focus will be onto that bot tier 2 tower. Death Ward going to be out right now on Kezcute with the Melodic. He might just tick out through the Cold Embrace. No, it won't be quite enough damage. He will survive for now. And no, never mind. He does die afterwards. He ate a Tango, but it just wasn't enough. And they are waiting for another target. In fact, they see Hyde. Paralyzing Cast going to bounce once. Go to FBZ. He does Remnant out, but now the Roar on FBZ. That's the one they wanted. And the Black Hole is going to be there on the Ember Spirit. Hyde, can you Remnant out of there a second time? He can, but Raven, he will happily dive the tier 3 tower for this and just time-lapse back. And that tier 3 tower is going to go down so quickly as well.
Yeah, it's the map is shrinking really fast for Boom now. GeekFam has been really on point with the push. So the locations for Dreamo Cell to farm up in are shrinking. He does have the Yasha up, is saving up for the Manta. That's not quite going to be enough. Once the Manta's up, you are looking for more items still. It is a start. It's just that it is feeling like they are losing a bit too much control on the map.
Raven showing up mid as well. Probably wants to try and force in that tier 1 mid tower. There is going to be a sneaky smoke out of Boom though. Going up towards the north of the map, they should be able to find Zephyr here on the Enigma. But no, they're actually going to loop around through the mid lane. Trying to find somebody else. Hoping that GeekFam will try to defend that tier 1 mid. It's just not the case though. It seems as though they're just happy to let it go. Now Whiteman does get spotted out, taking bounty runes away from Boom Esports, but he will get lassoed up now and will go down to the Firefly damage of Makoto. He does throw out the Death Ward just in case he can find a counter kill. It will not be the case, however.
I appreciate the optimism, but does still end up with a bounty. I think that's Still something for GeekFam to be happy about. They do still maintain a 4K lead, despite going 7-6. So, despite all the farm you're seeing on Dreamosol, the rest of GeekFam are doing a lot better than the equivalent Boom ID heroes, and that can cause issues. Like, you take a look at Carl, he has that level 2 Necrobooks and has the Dominator as well. So the pushes can fly a lot faster. You're also just inching closer. In fact, I believe that is the Desolator up, yeah, on our Weaver. So Raven is going to melt these towers now.
Yeah, he is certainly going to do so. TP's in from the side of Boom Esports. They do deny off that T1. Boom, still seemingly happy to try and take a team fight here, but GeekFam, not quite ready yet. I say that though, Zephyr has brought a Blink Dagger up on the Enigma. It's on the way. And perhaps now we see a quick smoke come out from GeekFam.
Yeah, it is going to be really potent, that blink black hole. We've seen that multiple times now. The early blinks from the Enigmas, and they can give you a big advantage. Zephyr is still about 20 seconds away from the cooldown, though. So there's still going to be some downtime. But if you look at the other items coming out, you've got the mech up on Cuckoo. So the sustain for GeekFam is just that much harder to deal with.
It's getting there. GeekFam grouping up. Smoke gonna be there. And Boom Esports still grouped up as well. They do have the Mantra up on Dreamcell. And as well as that, the Blink is now up on Makoto. Now that could be perfect timing. GeekFam do get scanned out here. Hyde will go on to Wyman, but will eventually just remnant out. They go through the triangle. Mango Tree is spotting Raven right now, but he's trying to bait him. Makoto will take the bait, but no one's ready for it. He's going to get dragged away. He has the time lapse. Now Wyman out with the cask and the Raw being committed.
Oh.
There are a lot of heroes grouped up
Oh,
right now,
no.
but the Stone Gaze, it's way too good from Dreamcell. He starts melting them. A
Oh.
3-man black hole comes out, but do they have enough damage? It looks like they might. Makoto drops as well as the Pangolier, but Dreamcell is still scot-free safe. Raven trying to go after the Ember. He will find the Ember. The buyback will be out from the Wyvern as well. But ultimately, they do not kill off the Medusa.
Yeah, it was a tough fight for Geek. It looked like the good initiation and bait, but then they fought around a ramp facing Medusa. So a lot of value for Dreamosol to just kind of man up there. And despite losing more heroes, Boom did find a lot of kills on Dreamosol. I think they're still happy about that sort of trade, because this is accelerating the build-up into the Scotty. And it's at that point where the Medusa really does start to take control of the game.
Yeah, she's getting close. GeekFam may have to think about a Roshan soon if they really want to try and finish this game out. But time is a ticking. Whiteman taking a lot of damage out from Dreamcell. Now the Flame Break going to be there as well. Not going to be enough, but smoke in from Boom Esports, and they're going to run straight back into that Witch Doctor. So Whiteman, again, Death Ward with the Paralyzing Casks will do a bit of damage there to Hyde. He'll get cold and braced up, and now Makoto trying to find Cuckoo on that Dazzle. Firefly will give some superior vision, and it looks like they are eventually going to catch the Dazzle out. No need to commit the lasso. Just burn him alive and eventually go back into that top tier 2 tower. However, at the bot lane, there was a bit of a push going on here from Raven, but eventually the Glyph is forced down and he will back out as well.
Yeah, it's a nice little pickup for Boom. They have managed to grab more control on the map. This gives them a lot more leeway to find forward farm with Remosel, whereas GeekFam, you know, they haven't really progressed in terms of chipping away at the tier 2 mid, even tier 1 top.
Yes, cute. In trouble. Gonna die very quickly, and Raven wants to go on Makoto. There is a lasso available. Makoto sticking around trying to get the bounty rune. Will eventually just back out of there. GeekFam, they don't have that black hole up again yet. They need another 50 seconds. So Boom, still have time to drag this out. Roshan, gonna be the target here for GeekFam. A very important one as well, because if Boom Esports did find this Roshan, it could be rather problematic for this Dire side. Boom may opt not to fight, but you'd rather just try and go for it. FBZ, Lasso, gonna be there straight on the Beastmaster. Carl gonna be in trouble. He's being stunned up now with the Stone Gaze as well. Just so much control, and nobody's coming in to help. The rest of GeekFam, unwilling to fight in the Stone Gaze, will let their mid Beastmaster die, and now Dreamer Cell going back in, but Raven wants to take the fight now without that Stone Gaze, throws out the Swarm, Melodic there on Dreamer Cell. He does start losing a fair bit of mana, but ultimately will be able to walk away just fine. Is FBZ gonna swashbuckle in? Boom, definitely in the lead in this team fight, but it's a very long team fight. Whiteman will now die as well, and boom. Might be a free Roshan for them.
Yeah,
No,
they can certainly just... Oh.
Yeah, they're not giving this up, GeekFam. They're going back in. The bugs will give vision. Roshan getting very, very low now. Carl's still not around. They'll dust up Raven. He doesn't have time lapse, so it might be too risky to try, and he isn't going to bother. He will back out, and that is a huge deal for Boom Esports. Denying that Aegis off. Taking it for Dream Assault. That is really game-changing.
They've got a lot more leeway now to put Dreamo Cell in front. A lot of the damage has been flying out from him. A lot of the control as well from that Stone Gaze. So having the Aegis does mean you have a lot more presence. I like the switch out from Dreamo Cell as well. From the Scotty into the Lincolns. Just opting to stay a lot safer. Doesn't want to be easily pinned down. And this should give Dreamer Cell again that forward presence they're looking for. GeekFam, they need to wait for a couple of items to come out. I do believe we are just about to hit Raven's BKB. That's going to be really important to allow him to ignore pretty much everything that comes out from Boom except for the Winter's Curse and the Lasso. So that's the only things he has to worry about afterwards. And Mikado.
In trouble, Zephyr. Kodo got close for the Lasso, but not quite close enough. Boom Esports starting to maintain control of that Dire side jungle. They are picking up that mid-tier 2 tower.
Dire's middle tower.
Because with that Aegis, you feel very safe to do so. And now, especially with that Lincoln Sphere, you feel even safer. It's going to be very hard to make a jump on this Deucer, as you do really rely on that roar of Carl to make that happen.
Oh.
Try and sneak in, hide, gonna be the first one spotted out, but he gets a nice line of his chains, and now FBZ, Rolling Thunder is perfect. They get a lasso off as well onto that Beastmaster. In fact, Raven, he was the one caught. He does end up dying. Carl is falling low as well. They are also gonna find the Dazzle. Cuckoo goes down. He commits Raw and does get at least the Batrider, but Boom Esports are gonna be absolutely fine with that. A 3-for-1 trade, and it might be a 4-for-1 soon, as Hyde is looking for his next victim. Great chains out onto Whiteman. Again, the Death Ward out. Hyde will actually probably die this time around. Maybe a bit too overly excited there on the Witch Doctor. And, oh, it's still going. Zephyr. Still there on the Enigma, but eventually we'll just walk out. And Boom just want to secure the tier 2.
Yeah, it's going to be really easy for Dream itself to start picking away from it. Not as fast as GeekFam still. That's one thing GeekFam does have a lot better, is that push potency, but you know, Boom has managed to claw that lead back from a 5k disadvantage to just about 1k behind GeekFam, and it is starting to shape up here for Boom. Their initiations are coming online. The damage from Dreamo Assault's getting very hard to deal with. You do have the BKB on Raven. He had that in the last fight. He just never got to use it because of Boom's great initiation. So he has to kind of be preemptive, but also really aware of where FBZ, of where Mikado and Kezcute are, because those are the only things that kind of hold him down when he does commit that BKB.
Bot lane. Malefic's going to be put onto Kezcute, and those Necro units just going to chase him down. Does have the Cold Embrace, so should be fine. Meanwhile, Makoto chasing down Carl. Raw is going to be committed, but he's being controlled up. He does get the Batrider kill, but it may cost him his life, and we have another disconnection. Dreamer Soul having some issues on the Medusa. Does disconnect. Carl should
Yeah,
indefinitely just be dead, though. He does not have any help around.
Yeah, that's bit unfortunate timing. You take a look down bot as well. Kezcute did have to commit the Winter's Curse to kind of bail himself out. Let's see whether or not that will last long enough.
Carl being controlled up here on the Beastmaster does go down. Kezcute is just kind of flying through the tree line right now. He has Arctic Burn in 5 seconds. Yeah, he'll be fine. Only thing is he doesn't have a TP. So he's going to have a long walk back and he's going to be hiding for a while. But GeekFam, if they waste their time searching that long, it's not going to bother Kezcute that much. And Wyman might actually run straight into it. They run into each other like, what are you doing here? Melodic, Death Ward going to be there. Kezcute will fly over the trees, but now Zephyr, knowing where he is, can break that tree line down and eventually will be able to secure the kill for the side of GeekFam. But now Dreamer Cell has Zephyr cornered. He will TP, but the Stone Gaze will be there in time, and he will secure the kill on that pause for Enigma.
Yeah, Dreamo Cell's starting to be a massive issue. Like, Widow's kills, he's really accelerating into that butterfly. Has enough gold to at least buy out the Eagle Song and the Talisman if he so opted to. And this is the point where Medusa gets crazy. You just gave too much space to Dreamo Cell to farm up, and now he's going to be a massive issue. You take a look at Raven going straight for the MKB, preempting that butterfly. But it's not going to come out fast enough.
I don't think they've been able to close the gap on Raven. That's one of the big issues. Oh, not Raven, but rather Dreamer Cell. Well, Whiteman goes down again, and Boom Esports just looking stronger and stronger as time goes on. It's just every time they try to make the play onto Dreamer Cell, he just uses Stone Gaze and just stands there. And, well, with a 7k net worth lead in front of everyone else, he's just going to go for that Eye of Skadi next. Seemingly nothing to stop this man. He hasn't even hit level 25 yet.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
Now the T3 tower.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
Yeah, it's it was GeekFam on the aggressive in terms of a push earlier on. They did go kind of all in with a lot of necrobooks as well.
Yeah, Zephyr being caught out. Rolling Thunder going to come through. Shallow Grave going to be there from Cuckoo, but Zephyr ultimately will definitely die. It's a godlike streak now for Dreamer Cell. Behind, though, Carl comes in with the Roars straight onto FBZ. That Pangoli going to be in trouble. Those swashbuckles away. Now the Stone Gaze.
No.
Dreamer Cell catches out Raven through the BKB. Now the Flame Break there onto Carl. And yeah, he's going to get burnt by that Firefly. The Black Hole does come out from Zephyr, but he is very close to falling, and he will go down eventually. Dreamer Cell, though, also falling here. Raven, can he do the job? The Shallow Grave is there. He time-lapses just in the nick of time, but he cannot finish off the Medusa. And Dreamer Cell finds an Ancient Stack. Well, that's nice.
Woo. And the tier trees. Perfect timing.
Perfect timing indeed. He even gets a Paladin Sword for himself, just in case.
Oh man, that was really scary for our Enigma though. He blinked right in and got frozen. If he just managed to get that commit a lot earlier in the fight, I think it would have been a lot different. But because of that, they're going to lose their tier 3s and probably set racks.
That appears to be true. Dreamer Cell just going to take it by himself. He knows they're not going to defend. They just can't afford to right now. They'll have to regroup as a team, GeekFam, and try to make something else happen here. They did spot out Raven forcing in that mid-wave. And Makoto, Lasso, he does connect through the BKB, of course. Raven should be able to just time-lapse out of this, though. They don't really have the follow-up damage yet. They have to... Oh, nice bash through the swashbuckle. That'll force out the time-lapse. They are still trying to surround this Weaver. Raven will be fine. He will get out of there.
Yeah, it's a good waste of time. That does take some big ults away. Not the longest cooldowns anymore, now that we're at the half-hour mark. And speaking of, Boom now has the 5k lead. Another Whitemon.
Wyman. Death Ward again being caught out. There's Winter's Curse in the backline somewhere. There it is. Raven trying to chase down Kezcute. Dreamer Cell is around. Nice cold embrace to delay that. Makoto, however, does die to Carl. And now Boom Esports the one that need to back off.
Yeah, it's not quite the best trade. It was fairly split up. You take a look at Dreamocell now, Mike. Has the Satanic going into the Divine. So just wants to go into that point where Medusa is basically unstoppable.
Now that Divine Rapier is going to be very, very nice.
Oh, but you take a look at Raven as well. Divine queued up.
Great minds think alike. Why not?
Ooh.
2 Divines. Can't say no to that. But I think that is the only option, right, for Raven. He needs the True Strike. Screw the MKB. Just go for the Divine. You're lacking damage anyway onto Dreamocell right now. Just get as much as you can get.
Yeah, it's their safest bet. Well, safest is a risk, but this is what happens when you kind of commit to that Necrobook strat, and you just don't get enough done if you don't clear the objective. So GeekFam needs a bit of a bounce back. They have balanced the net worth advantage of Boom back to 1k. So it has been a constant swing from both sides. Still, they are clumping up bottom mid. They want to try to find something.
Dreamocell moving his way in. We are about to hit that level 18 mark on Cuckoo as well for that final level on Bad Juju. Still doesn't really have the Guardian Greaves, but he could afford it in about 100 or 200 gold. Boom Esports, however, smoke up towards the north. They will miss out on a kill. It was, I believe, Zephyr, but he just TP'd out of there. No, in fact, it wasn't Zephyr. It was somebody. GeekFam just going to continue forcing in that bot wave. Raven getting very, very close now to that Divine Rapier timing. I think they're just literally going to wait. No, never mind. Roar in straight onto Makoto, but once they see the Medusa, that'll be enough.
Yeah, it's hard to commit. They smoke up, though. Zephyr does have the Ags. They want to reveal that Blink Black Hole with the Ags upgrade now.
It's a lot of damage. Raven. Gonna try and find the backlines. He is going to run straight into Kezcute. Kezcute, of course, does have the Cold Embrace to survive this damage. Thought about getting the Winter's Curse, and now Abyssal is out from FBZ with the Rolling Thunder and the Lasso. Shallow Grave will be there from Cuckoo, but is it enough time? It is. He will time-lapse, but there's the Winter's Curse now coming out. Raven needs some help, but Stone Gaze now from Dreamocell just locking him in, though another Shallow Grave.
What?
Just in the nick of time. Raven, can he survive through this? No, he will go down.
Ooh.
Zephyr does get a Black Hole off, but who's going to do your damage? Raven, he's brought back, but it's all too late. Zephyr's gonna die. They do still TP in Raven. Sneaking up from behind. Whiteman, Melodict onto FBZ. Swarm will come out. Dreamocell still chasing down Cuckoo. Raw there from Carl onto Makoto. Cuckoo just TPing away and does actually get out of there. And Makoto does die. But Carl will also die in the process. Meanwhile, FBZ is still going. Raven is still just messing around with the side of Boom Esports, but this could cost him. He can't afford to die back right now. He does find the kill onto Kezcute, and now we do actually have our first Divine Rapier coming up on the Medusa, but Chains and Lasso gonna be there on Raven. That's gonna be a dieback. And when you've got a Divine Rapier and a Medusa as well as a dieback on your POS 1, you know where they're headed.
Oh, yeah. It's gonna be hard to defend this one for GeekFam. They're not gonna have Black Hole for another minute, and that's probably more than enough time for Boom to clear out that high ground, or even just go for the throne.
Dreamocell, it's going to start on the tier 3 tower, not going to rush the throne, but the pings are out for the tier 4s. Bounties being placed on Cuckoo's head. He does now buy out the Guardian Greaves. That's maybe not really going to help them out though until Raven's back up. How do you delay this if you're GeekFam? They're smoked up, going in from behind. Black hole up in 25 seconds, but that tier 4 tower is dead. They're going to find a secondary now. They do go after the Wyvern, so Kenscute is going to die, but they give him a bunch of tips. They know the game's over. They're just going to try and make a bit of a laugh before it all ends, and that'll be it. Kenscute ends up dying, but ultimately Boom Esports does manage to get the draw.
Yeah, it's a close series from both teams, 1-1, really even. I think that smoke break was pivotal for Boom. If they actually did manage to sneak behind, GeekFam might have been able to get a little bit more. In the end, not quite enough. That is what happens when you ignore Medusa.
That's very true. Still, that'll mean we get to go into our final series of the night, John. It is actually going to be, it's going to be Signal Ultra versus Execration. And this is actually going to be the first time we see Execration throughout the BTS Pro Series. I don't believe we've seen them yesterday at all. This is going to be their first series. We did see Signal Ultra yesterday, but they did get 2-0'd. So it wasn't the greatest start for them. We'll see if they can change it up now. It is MLP Dota and JohnXFire. We'll see you guys again in about 20 minutes for the final series of the night.